Welcome to the Wedding Obsessed podcast designed to help you plan your dream day. I'm your host, Adriana, and each week I'm joined by the wedding industry's top professionals, celebs, influencers, and friends who share tips, trends, advice, and mistakes they've made so you don't have to. This is the Pre Nup podcast. Weddings, unfortunately, can bring out the worst in people, whether it's the couple, family, bridal party, guests. They can really make us kind of crazy. So today I'm honored to have my friend Mandy Graham Schul, LPC, on to help us figure out how not to lose our minds in the midst of planning by helping us understand why we make the decisions that we make and our true motivations behind them when it comes to weddings. Not only is Mandy a licensed therapist who helps her patients navigate trauma, which if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you are, but her role as a therapist, a coach, and a newlywed herself was very enlightening for me personally. I really learned so much from her, and I would absolutely love to have her back on. And I might have a little bit of pull because she is a friend. So any questions you have pertaining to stress, anxiety, or anything really just weighing heavy on you when it comes to your wedding, feel free to send over so that when I have Mandy back on, we can discuss and dissect. And if you want to reach out to Mandy directly, I've left all of her info below. It's my honor to introduce to you today, Mandy Schul-Ghraham, LPC, to the Pre Nup podcast. I am so happy that you agreed to do this again, Mandy. You have no idea. So for anyone listening, I am a moron. And I had the lovely Mandy on, and we had an amazing episode. She gave so much great insight. And while I was editing, I realized that I did not have the microphones plugged in. So instead of listening to a janky quality episode, I asked Mandy to come back, and she so graciously agreed without any qualms because she's the best and she's an angel. So Mandy, welcome back.
I'm so excited to be here. And I think that says so much about you for wanting to have the quality and to make sure people can hear everything. And it says a lot about your work ethic. So
Thanks, Mandy.
I'm happy.
It also says a lot about me that I didn't friggin' plug the microphone in, but you know.
You did try in the beginning.
We did. I swear we did, but we didn't do the test recording. Okay. So we did it.
So excited.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you here. And you're not only a friend, but you are just so, you just know so much, and you put things in a perspective that I would have never thought about. Mm-hmm. So Mandy, explain to people who you are, what you do.
Of course. So I am a licensed mental health therapist, specifically an LPC. So that's like a licensed practicing counselor. I've been a therapist for about 6 years now. And I recently added coaching, which is a different perspective than therapy. It's not as restrictive. It's more goal-oriented and focused for people. I feel like they feel like they can get their needs met a little bit quicker than traditional therapy. But yeah.
And you're killing it, by the way.
Thanks.
You have many exciting things on the horizon. So we're going to share everywhere you can find Mandy, her coaching, everything. But Mandy, you are also somewhat of a newlywed. You were married last year.
In May. Yes, almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
How does it feel? How do you feel like any different?
I guess I feel more confident. Like if I'm going to hold my boundary, it's like you can't leave.
Oh, we're going to be hitting the boundaries today. We're going to be talking about all things. So I wanted to have you on today because you went through, of course, the wedding planning process. And there's a lot of things involved in that really kind of fuck with our psyche and make us question our sanity. And people have a lot of questions for you.
Yes, I feel like I've been through some adversity in my life, and I never realized how much stress it was planning a wedding. That was probably one of the most stressful times of my life.
I bet. Absolutely.
And I didn't have a wedding planner, so I highly recommend.
Well, yeah. And it is great to have a wedding planner, but it's also really great to have a therapist.
Yes. Having someone to talk to through the process.
Your wedding planner, contrary to what many think, is not your therapist, although sometimes they're treated as such. They're not equipped. I am not licensed. So, as much as I want to hear everyone's problems, I do not have the
the skill and the knowledge to
You have a great referral.
Yeah, referral. Exactly. So before we get into the meat of the episode, I wanted to, because we were just chit-chatting outside. So Mandy is, like I mentioned, also a friend of mine. And you mentioned that you're going to be potentially changing your name. So did you look into newly named?
Yes. I never knew that existed.
Yeah. So there's a couple platforms like that, but a lot of people use newly named, and it does make things easy just for like changing over your name, because you don't realize how many things have to switch over. I was going to ask you, did you look into what it would take, like if they assist with your license as well, like your LPC?
So I didn't, but I got the information from a girl who's an LMFT, and she told me that like you can pay extra for it, but I don't know. Like, I'm almost married a year and I haven't changed my name.
Yeah.
And honestly, I haven't really thought anything of it, but I'm starting, like I said, my own business. So like a lot of legal stuff is happening.
Yes.
And now I'm like, what if I want to go on my husband's insurance? And I'm realizing, oh, I need to do that.
Right.
So, and then also he actually said to me recently, he's like, it actually really bothers me that you haven't taken my name. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I know.
It's a sin. Oh, that's so sweet that he said it that way.
Hey, whatever you want to do for anybody. I'm not saying I want to take my husband's last name.
Yes.
My brain just was like, oh, I'm married now. I don't, but there's so many legal aspects that you do need to do it.
Absolutely. So I legally never changed my name. And it's not because, well, if it were just my choice, I would have never done it. But even before we got married, Jake said it was really important to him. And that was like a thing that we agreed that I would do. So I can't go back on it now. And
did you change it?
No. I go by Brockman socially, but I never legally changed it.
I know. Like my coaching's Mandy Graham Coaching, and my last name is Schul.
Yeah.
So it's super awkward when I'm doing my taxes and it's like Amanda Schul, but I'm like Mandy Graham. I feel like I have two names, like two aliases.
Yes. No, it's so true. And I feel like in the same boat, because I do socially go by Brockman, but sometimes if I'm doing something, I'm like, they're like, okay, what's your last name? I'm like, what did I tell you?
I get imposter syndrome.
Like, I forget what I said because I go by, and they're like, what? How?
Well, I go by Amanda. I go by Mandy. Now it's Mandy Graham, Amanda Schul.
You do. You have some alter egos.
I do. But some women are on it.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh my God. Some people the next day, it's like the Instagram handle, the name has changed.
If it's on my Facebook, it's real, right?
Totally. If it's
just tell the IRS.
Facebook can handle that, right?
Yeah. That's funny.
So, okay. So I want to get into just like the mental health aspect of planning a wedding, because there are a lot of things that people struggle with while they're planning. And it seems to be, from what I've noticed, a lot of the same things. So there are 5 categories, and I feel like I'm having deja vu because we did go through these, but we're going to add a little more nuance to these this time. But the 5 things that people express are big stressors for them in wedding planning: budget, family expectation, body image, attention, and balance. So I want to go through each one and kind of dissect them a little bit and get your expert opinion on like why people tend to really focus on these stressors, and maybe some tools that they could use to get out of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So we might need more than 5 minutes for family expectations, but I want to take like 5 minutes on each thing. But let's start with budget.
Yes.
So one of the big things that people really, really struggle with, it's one of the first things they deal with through the planning process. Okay, how much are we going to be spending? And it's funny, I was just talking with Marina Lurie, who's like a huge wedding planner. She's fabulous, phenomenal. She's going to come on the podcast. But we were talking about the fact that whatever you think your budget is, double it. And that is really stressful for people, obviously, because, you know, when we're spending a ton of money, that's very, very stressful. Yeah. But why do we have this mindset of like more, even though we've set this boundary. Like budget is somewhat of a boundary. We're saying this is how much we're going to spend and we're not going to go over. Yet for, I would say, more than 75% of couples, we do go over it. So I want to just get into the headspace of that. Like, why is that a boundary that we're so quick?
Like, why set it if you're going to go over it and like you end up going over it?
Yeah.
And so I feel like we talked about this last time, but I think a lot of it is control.
Yes.
When you are planning a wedding, I feel like everyone has so much input, and not for nothing. As much as the day is about you, and especially if you're having a large wedding, I feel like you are throwing a party for people.
Yes.
Right. I feel like it's a control thing. Like,
yeah,
I'm already doing this for people. I'm already doing that for people. And I think that people don't want to go over what they feel like they can have control of, because you can't control the weather. You can't control who's going to show up. You can't control your bridesmaids or your moms or mother-in-laws or anyone in the wedding. So you're like, this is what I'm spending.
Totally.
Right?
Not to mention, there's a fixed amount that everyone's income is different. So what they're going to be able to spend is a little bit different. Everyone's situation on who's contributing to the wedding, that's a little bit different too. But it does seem like most people say like, okay, yes, I want to take control over this aspect of it, but this specific thing,
they always go over. So it's like, why?
But yeah. So like, what do
you think it is? Do you think it's like they see the newest thing, they realize they want it? It's like, you know what? They get like the screw it is my day. So why am I like?
Totally. I think there's this aspect of, well, I already spent XYZ, much more money than I would ever spend for any kind of event in my lifetime. What's another X?
Well, I remember saying, and I don't know if you ever heard this, that I don't know if I saw it somewhere or what, but it was like, in weddings, $1,000 is equivalent to $1.
Yes.
So
I've never heard that, but it is the goddamn truth.
It is like what, like once you spend this, it's like, okay, what's an extra $1,000? And you don't realize.
It's true. I think that's another thing too. Like there's all these things that people feel that they need. And some of them you do to plan an event to a certain caliber. But in the real world, like you would never spend that much money on something. And this isn't a knock to vendors, because I hate the argument of like, oh, people put wedding in front of something and, it's 10X. Well, the stakes are a lot higher. That's a whole different conversation for another time.
Have you ever heard anyone talk about like flowers? Because to me, flowers were so important, but they are. And I mentioned Bettina. Love her. Yeah. She's amazing.
Shout out to Bettina.
Yes. Love her. They do a gorgeous job, but they are expensive. But you get for what you pay for them.
Exactly.
And that was important to me. And so many people were like, why are you spending all that money on flowers? Like they died, no one's going to remember it. You know how many people said to me, like, your flowers were gorgeous?
Yes.
So you have to choose. Don't listen to other people. Choose with what you want, because also I feel like a lot of times you're paying for less stress at the end of the day. Because if I didn't pay for Bettina's and for them to deliver everything and for them to clean up everything and come back and get stuff, then I would have had to go to like Costco and I would have had to figure out this. I would have figured out that. They delivered everything.
Yes.
Like why do I want to stress about that the day of my wedding?
Absolutely. If that's not your strong suit, DIYing, like, I mean, I don't think anyone should do their own wedding decor personally. I think it just adds, unless you like absolutely love it and you're passionate about it and you're like dying to do it. I just don't think it's a good idea. The day is so busy. Yes. That week is so busy, and flowers are fresh. So you're working with something that could die. It's very delicate. And to your point, like, oh, why are you spending all this money on flowers? To someone that doesn't hold a lot of weight with, you don't have to spend a lot of money on flowers. But you, Mandy, wanted your room to look a certain way. You wanted the space to evoke a certain feeling. And part of that was design and decor. Yes. So you wanted to invest in flowers.
Exactly.
And maybe, I don't know what you spent on other things, but like maybe your wedding shoes, you were like, I'm going to be like walking and dancing and I'm not going to spend,
like I'm 5'7", my husband's 5'9". I didn't need a 5-foot heel. Like, so for me, they weren't that important.
Totally.
Or I don't think we really did like the drink. Like I wanted to, and then I was like, but I waited too long. I didn't do stuff like that, or I didn't do like little things like when you sit down, like what are those called?
Like a favor?
Yeah, I didn't do favors. So it was like little things, but I We had a band, thankfully my dad paid for.
Fabulous.
But like, so your guests are getting things. You don't
Right.
have to have every little thing.
You don't have to have every little thing.
Budget is just like depends what is important for you for that day.
Yes. So what can people do to either like in an ideal scenario, which I know a lot of people are listening and probably stressed about their budget because it is very stressful. So I'm sorry. But what can people either do to maybe try to get into a mindset to stick with their budget, or B, be okay with the fact that maybe, budget is not so much a stringent number, but like more of an idea. Like, how do we get there?
Well, it's funny because I knew someone who was getting married right before I did, and she sent me this very well, I don't know if she bought it, but it was a very well detailed Excel sheet.
Okay.
That gave me more anxiety. Like, so if you are a type A person and you feel like you need to put everything into an Excel sheet and that is you, I think giving your wedding stress a face and making it more real and understanding why you feel like you're having these stressors about budget, and communicate with your husband. Like, all right, what can we actually afford versus what we want? What do I need versus what I want?
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
And how does that mean? Super cliche, but how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Does that make you feel sad? Do you then need to cut back on guests? Like, what do you feel like is more reasonable for you? Like, what brings you guys joy? What brings everyone else joy?
Yes.
Because then maybe you can have a different type of wedding.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to do what everyone else is doing.
No, you don't. That's the thing. And I think, you asked me what I think it is with budget. And I think it's this it's, again, sounds so cliche, but we see all these things on social media and we want every little thing that we see. And it's great that all of these things come up, but you don't have to have everything. You could do the things that are important.
Have you ever heard comparison is the thief of joy?
Yes. And boy, is that effing true.
Yes.
And honestly, I will say to anyone who's like feeling that they're seeing things and they just want everything that they get their eyes and ears and whatever else on, you're not going to be happy, because unless it's something that you and your fiance really want, it's not going to feed you. And people will forget a lot of the details of the day, but they're not going to forget you guys, how they felt. They're not going to forget like your reactions to things. So if you have this mindset of like more, I'm like stressed about this.
You care more about what other people think versus what you think.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. That's going to come through on the day as well.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah. So if you just invest in the things that you will enjoy, like that is going to give people so much more, because it's an energy thing.
And I think too, right? Like, understanding that the wedding world, like you're in the business, it's not cheap.
No.
So you get what you
No, it ain't.
right? You get what you pay for. So also, if you don't really want to go over that budget, then right, just how you have a job, just how you're an expert in your career, like not you, like other people listening, like be respectful to the people in the wedding industry, because they're in the business too. So, and they work really damn hard to make your day perfect. And that's what you're paying for.
Totally.
So it's like, I could see it on both ends. Bring yourself joy. Don't focus on other people. Maybe you have to downsize things. Maybe you have to have some hard conversations with people like, hey, this is not what we're doing, because we really value a band, and a band costs X amount of money. I really want a wedding planner. I really want all of these things. So we're not going to have 300 people.
Yes.
Because you have to pay per plate for those 300 people.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, I do plan weddings, but a lot of people won't like that I say this. I don't think wedding planners are necessary when it comes to planning a wedding. But if you are someone who is stressed and even about budget, a wedding planner can save you a lot of money.
Or someone who just has a really low confidence. Like, I know so many women who are like, I can't decorate my house because I have too much commitment. Commitment issues to hang something up.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, so then that's going to be really hard for you to plan a wedding.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, sometimes you need that person, just how you said you're not a therapist, but you need someone who's going to give you like third party advice, who's not your family member, who's not going to be like, well, you should do this, you should do that. Like, you're coming from a genuine space.
Yes.
To support them.
Absolutely. And, your wedding planner doesn't have doesn't have more stake in anything else. So you spending more money doesn't mean anything to them because for the most part, it's a fixed price that you're paying them. So if you have a certain budget that you want to stick to and you have a certain style that you want to convey and you don't really know how to do that, they'll be able to pull those elements and say, okay, here's what we can do at this.
It's like an art.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's like when you go see a photographer, like some photographers, like it costs a lot of money because they have an art.
Absolutely. And, you know, there are some great photographers who are reasonable, but as you said earlier, like you're going to get what you pay for. Yes. So if you want these really editorial type photos that could be in, you know, Vogue Bride, yeah, you're going to be paying upward like 10, 12, 15. If you're getting like the Corbin Gherkins and whoever, like you're going to be paying like 30, 40 grand. So, you know, if that is where you want to spend all of your budget.
And you know what? My photographer, I had Emma Martin. I'm probably screwing it up. I'd have to like, you'll have to tag him. Like,
I will.
Amazing. He didn't come to my actual wedding, but the people he had, again, they were the kindest people. Oh. There were these two guys. They were so nice. They're like, whatever you want. They were like, if people were like pulling me, they're like, no, she doesn't want to do that. People, I'm not a picture person. So they're like, Mandy, you should do this. You should do that. On the day of my wedding, I didn't want to be told what to do. Yeah. And they like were sticking up for me. They're like, take your time, whatever you want. I was like, I love you.
That means a lot. And
it meant so much.
That's a conversation that we have too when
and
you're
my
choosing your
photographer is
vendors.
very expensive.
But do you love your photos?
Yes.
Exactly. And you felt great on the day.
So calm on the day. I was like, you are with me.
Totally. And that's another thing that we talk about when you're choosing a vendor. You might love, and photographers are easy to use as an example because, you know, your pictures, in my opinion, are like the most important thing. But you can see someone's photos and say, wow, gorgeous, love them, want to book them. But if you get on a phone call with them and you are not jiving, you are not vibing, you hate these people, they are, if you don't have a planner, either way, they're like second in command because your entire day shifts on the photographer's timeline. They're spending every moment with you. Yeah. And if you hate the person you're spending the day with, then you're going to not enjoy the day. Yeah. So make sure you drive and vibe. Everyone will be happier, you know?
Exactly. He was so reassuring. He was the best.
Really? Oh, you have to tell me who it is and then I'll tag them in the episode. And your wedding photos were gorgeous. You had like a fabulous beach wedding. It was so
but
it was so pretty.
Actually, apparently rain makes the best photos.
Yes, the lighting.
And they always, did you know why they say like raining on your wedding day is good luck?
No, I don't know why they say it.
Because you're apparently tying the knot and water makes a knot tighter.
Oh, that's cute. I never knew that.
Yeah, someone said that to me on my wedding day and I was like, wow, you just made me so happy.
I always thought it was just something we say to like make ourselves feel better. Right. So I don't know if it rains. I don't think it actually rained, but it was like heinous weather on my wedding day. Just like whipping winds, and some of the pictures outside are so funny. It's just like hair blowing past my face. My photographer did a great job. Just there are a handful of them that are really funny. So, okay, let's get into now. We kind of dissected budget a little bit. Let's get into family expectations. This one's loaded because everyone has their different expectation for the day on every end. So there's this like very hard song and dance to do with your future in-laws, wanting them to feel like they're involved and wanting to involve them, and also like doing what you want and them feeling like they're not stepping on toes, but wanting to make sure they know that you know rather that they're involved. So let's talk about some of the boundaries with family expectations.
Yes. It's so funny. Like I know that I was like very like, oh my gosh, like my in-laws are very kind, and I'm like, I'm not a people pleaser. I think I used to be, but I like to be kind. Like I like, right? I like to do things for other people. But I remember the day of my wedding, my husband wasn't answering me. And that was like one of my biggest fears. Like you hear so many grooms that like don't wake up on their wedding day because they're hungover because they went out. I was like, Jordan, go to bed. And he wasn't answering me. And there was like other stuff that I needed him to be ready for. And I remember his brother, he has 3 brothers. His one brother called me. He goes, hey, man. And I'm like, where the fuck is Jordan? Like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to my husband.
Totally.
So that was like, I understand why there's bridezilla, because people take advantage of your kindness.
They do.
And you don't mean to be bridezilla. And I don't think that should even be a term. I think you should just respect the bride.
Absolutely. I think bridezilla can be like an endearing term. Like, let's take it back here. It's someone who's maybe assertive and knows exactly what she wants.
Yeah, aren't we supposed to be dreaming about our wedding day since we're like little and like tutu dresses?
Totally, absolutely. And that is okay. Now, I think when people get into this bratty mode where they turn into a 4-year-old and they're like, it's my day. It's like, all right, well, it is your day, but like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yes.
But I want to talk about a couple of different aspects.
So what about like the in-laws and like family?
Yeah. So just when it comes to, we've already touched on budget a good amount. So, family who's contributing maybe money. Sometimes it becomes this awkward thing of, if I'm gifting you a certain amount of money for the wedding or gifting you a certain service, vendor, I expect you to do this thing that I like. So like maybe I'm giving you $5,000 for your ceremony, but I want you to get married in the church. And like, that's not your vibe.
Yes.
So how do you deal with this before getting married so that you're not like severing a relationship with the people that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with?
Yeah.
Because you marry a family. You don't marry a person. If the family's involved, you're marrying into a family.
Definitely. I think if you are planning on wanting to be with the person you love and you love their family, start thinking about this way before. I think self-awareness is a power that we don't really like to think about things because it gives more anxiety. But the more you avoid difficult thoughts and difficult scenarios, the more anxious you're going to be.
I'm taking this personal.
So we don't want to avoid denial. Isn't only a river. Like we need to sit down and give ourselves space to think about stuff. So that would be my first tip.
Okay.
Think about everything. And also what we were saying, that like, if you feel like this is what you want, right? Be mindful and have that upfront conversation with the people.
Yes.
There is a way to be assertive. And I think, and you don't have to be rude. It's not like you said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I would really appreciate if you would help us, but this is something that's really important to me. And I don't know if that's what I want.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, so I know, for example, my dad, he helped tremendously with my wedding.
Yes.
But, I had a lot of respect for him, and it was like, I do want to do a lot of the things that he also wanted to do. So there were some aspects, though, that I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, I don't care. But then when it came to other little things, I think because he was so used to me being like, I don't care, then it was like, oh, wait, no, I don't want to do that. And it was like, huh?
Come on, what?
Yeah, like, huh? Like, well, why?
Where's this coming from?
Yeah, and that was hard, right?
Yes.
Like, it can be difficult.
Well, yeah, because I think sometimes parents or guardians, whomever, kind of don't take into account, like, they're so proud a lot of the times and they're so excited that they're kind of seeing this as like their event.
I think at one point my dad said it's my wedding. My dad's a ball buster, so he jokes. I'm like, I don't take it personally, but he flat out said it. I was like, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah. But I think, thank God you have that great relationship with your dad that you can like banter, because it causes some real rifts in families. And it's one thing when like, you wouldn't get in like a real huge fight with your dad over your wedding. Yeah. But it's one thing if you have a strong opinion on something, but like if Jordan had a big disagreement with your dad, like,
well, so I think we said this last time.
Yes.
So in the beginning, right? And I think as women, like typically we all just go to the women. Like, I have 2 brothers. Even if I text my brothers, they're like, I don't know, ask my wife.
Yeah,
I'm like,
totally.
Gosh, like, okay, sure. So when planning a wedding, literally everyone was asking me everything. I remember there would be days I'm like getting texts from my dad. I'm getting texts from his wife. I'm getting texts from my new mother-in-law. I'm getting texts from my sister-in-law and that person and this and that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And everyone's just like, and it's all intended well. Like it's no like being nosy, and I knew that. But it came down to the point where I was like, Jordan, if there's anything going on with your family, you're handling it. If there's anything going on with my side of the family, I'll handle it.
Yes.
And we can like communicate and we can hash it out of what we think and but that's your responsibility. Like I can't be the filter for both.
Well, it's a great precedent to set because it's kind of setting the tone, like with a lot of things, but this
With our
specifically,
marriage.
but for your marriage, really, like planning a wedding is really good practice for your marriage
Yes.
because some people have lived together and they're kind of like living the married life already and they're used to, you know, bills and family stuff and whatever. But especially if you haven't gotten there yet, like planning an event, it sounds silly because it's a party, right? But there's so many aspects involved in it that you have to figure out how to navigate it together in the best way that works for both of you guys while balancing, you know, the family act. So setting that precedent early, like if there's an issue with any of the wedding stuff with your mom, Jordan, like you handle it. If I have an issue, like I'm going to bring it to you and you make sure you squash it.
Or it's like also, I remember saying at one point too, and this is where I wish I developed some of these skills before, and I wish I had more awareness because after you get engaged, you are literally like on a high. And I remember I got engaged in December and my dad was like, enjoy it now because once January hits, like we're going to be going. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I was so ignorance is bliss. I was just like on cloud 9 and then it hit. So I was excited. And you have to remember too, like, this is your mother-in-law was waiting for this day. Your father is waiting for this day. People are excited to have you as a sister. Like everyone's so excited.
Totally.
But they all want your answers. So they're sending you should get married here. You should get married here. You should get married here. And it's like, it's so overwhelming. So then when you would say like, oh, okay, I'll look into that. Like that one fire is done and then you're fine. And then they send another thing. And then it's like all that anxiety comes back. And you don't realize that you're getting triggered and because you don't have the heart to just be like, please stop.
Totally. And also like,
and I had to have a conversation of just like, or I just texted her. I was like, hey, this is da-da-da. And I just sent out a nice text. And she was really great. My mother-in-law is amazing. And she has the best intentions.
Of course. That's the thing too. I think so what causes so many maybe arguments or disagreements during wedding planning, because genuinely, I think for the most part, people do have the best intentions and are just excited. Yeah. But it can be, like you said, really overwhelming for the bride or groom or whoever is planning.
But it goes into having that self-awareness because so easily I could have been like, oh my God, your mom's being so annoying, like da-da-da-da. And everyone is telling me this. Like, so it's having that, again, critical awareness. There's a difference between self-awareness and critical awareness of taking a step back, looking at it from a full view.
Yes.
All right. Is this really ill-intended?
Totally.
Am I anxious? Am I stressed? Am I reacting?
Yes.
Am I being reactive versus expressing? Right.
And it's so hard when, you know, let's just take your mother-in-law, for example, who she's coming in with all these ideas and she's like, this, and this. And you kind of, maybe you as the bride, not you specifically, Mandy, but anyone as the bride is like, I don't like love these ideas. And you don't want to shit on someone so much because that's when it starts to feel like, oh my gosh, maybe it's personal. Like they don't like my style. They don't like my suggestions. They don't want me involved. And it's these two schools of thought. Like one person is just like feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And the other person doesn't know where they kind of stand in this whole thing. Like when your kid is getting married, it must be, I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like, but it must be such a strange thing. It's like, oh, they're starting this new life. Like, where do I fit in?
Yes, definitely.
And it's hard to remember that, especially as like the couple getting married. But it makes me think, because we were talking about, you know, people pleasing and not wanting to ruffle too many feathers, but also, you know, drawing boundaries, standing your ground. Where is the difference between being a people pleaser and being just considerate of someone's feelings and like not like being gentle? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and I think that comes with, it's hard. It's like a 2-part thing. So I was just talking about this with someone the other day, that you have to self-talk. Self-talk is it's the best coping skill anyone could ever have.
So for idiots like me who have never had a therapy session, I promise I will, Mandy, but Explain just what self-talk is.
Yes. So self-talk is like, there's that voice in your head, right? So it is like, it's a mindfulness tool. People think mindfulness has to be like going to the spa or drinking the green smoothie or doing a face mask. You can use mindfulness throughout your day. And when situations like this come up, that's when it's a really great time to use it. So mindfulness is like having the awareness of like, all right, this is what I'm experiencing, right? So something else I'll always explain to people, that feelings are thoughts and emotions are physiological reactions to your body.
Okay.
So a lot of times people are like, I'm so emotional, I'm so this, because we experience, our brain is taking in so much stimuli, something happens, our body responds.
Yes.
And then just because we physiologically feel it, we must think it. And if I think it, then it must be true. So it's knowing that no, that's not always true.
Yeah.
And
It's just
then,
like a chemical thing.
It's how we are, that's how we are human biologically based.
Sure.
So having the critical awareness and the self-talk of like, wait, I know my body is experiencing this and I'm thinking all of these negative things. Why? So I tell people to be their own like Sherlock Holmes. Do the who, the what, the where, the why. Go down that rabbit hole and challenge yourself, because no one's going to challenge you. You are responsible and accountable for your thoughts and feelings. And you need to be responsible and ask yourself like, wait, is this da-da-da? So if you are people pleasing, right? So if you're doing something for someone else, wait, am I being nice to that person, or am I just saying yes because I am getting anxiety?
Yes.
Or am I just saying yes because I actually really care about them?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds confusing, but it's like taking the step back of like, why am I being nice?
Totally.
Do I want it because I care about how they think of me? Or am I doing it because I just want to be a nice coworker?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's such a hard balance. And I was literally just having a session with one of my clients yesterday. She's like, is this what I'm supposed to do? I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm like, no, you're doing it.
You're doing the right things.
Everything that I say is so much easier said than done.
Yes. But I think the more that you practice
Yes.
it and like self-talk, if you do it enough, will become second nature, so that when you start to feel those things come on, you just like autopilot or like, all right, who, what, where, why?
Like one of my clients, we literally, she's like, can you please, like, I don't understand this. So I literally was like, all right, let's say event. All right, this is what happened. Why is this making me feel this way? Okay, is this true? Could I think of something different? It's like just going down and down and down and down. All right, now how do I want to approach it? I can approach it this way. I can approach it that way.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I know I'm a people pleaser because I have really bad anxiety. Now, am I doing this? Is a symptom coming out?
Yes.
No, I actually pride myself on being a good person.
Yeah.
The more you know about yourself, the better.
Yes. Yeah. So you can be like, I am somewhat of a people pleaser, I will say, and I'm working on it, but
In recovery.
I'm in recovery, pseudo recovery, but I do still struggle, and I'll just bring it back to weddings, because here we are. But I struggle with the letdown. I don't want people to feel like I made their idea feel small. I yucked their yum.
That's a them problem. That's not a you problem. That's a them problem. And if they have any thoughts or feelings about it, then they need to come to you and say, hey, Age, I feel like, well, when you said that, like, do you care about what I think? But they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You're just making that up in your mind.
But also, like, okay, what if your mother-in-law has these ideas and like you don't care about what she thinks? Like you genuinely don't care. Like you love her and you want her to be happy, but like when it comes to your wedding, you want her to back off. Like, do you say that? Do you say like you gotta slow your roll in a nice way?
That's what I did.
Did you?
Yeah. And I mean, there were some ideas that were great, and there are some that I was just like, look, this is a lot.
Yes.
And I just said, hey, I appreciate you sending me all these things, but this is not where my brain's at right now. I have a lot going on at work, but when I find anything that I like, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
like, and again, if someone has a problem with what you're doing, that's a them problem.
Yeah.
And the only way that you have to be confident.
Yeah.
So confidence kills. If you don't be awkward about it, then they might not be awkward about it, or they're going to show.
Yeah.
Like they're going to show insecurities. And then that's when you have to have maybe a different conversation with them.
Yeah. And when you're coming into someone else's family dynamic, because we're all raised in different ways and we all have our different triggers based on like, you know, growing up and how our families handle things. I think I personally, like, I love my in-laws, but there are certain things that I like will or won't say because I don't either want to step on toes or like upset someone or make them feel, you know, not included. So
yeah, my family's way more like talk to you when I talk to you. I can go months without talking and seeing them.
It's like pretty direct.
But their family talks every single day.
Yeah.
So sometimes I wonder like, oh, do they think I'm mad at them? But I'm also like, you know, but that's not me. And I can't be reaching out to people every single, I don't reach out to anyone every single day.
Yeah,
if I'm not reaching out to my own family every day, then that's how I am.
Totally. And, you know, just as we're talking through it, it's like, okay, yes, you are marrying into this family, but this family is also like bringing you in. So there's another dynamic that relationships are two-sided. So it's not up to one person.
Because now me and my husband are a family.
Right. So your in-laws who, by the way, like just have to preface, Mandy loves her in-laws.
Oh, yes.
Like this is not a Mandy and her in-laws issue, but just for example purposes, like your in-laws are taking in this new family now. So there's other dynamics at play and it might not be exactly the way it was when it was just your husband and his brothers and their parents.
Yes. And I was very fortunate. Like I said, I was anxious, I think, one, because of money, like everything was so expensive and like figuring things out during the wedding planning. And then two, it was just like the really people pleasing of everyone. Like, you should do this. Did you do this? Oh, you need to do this. Like everyone putting their opinions on you or me was a lot.
Yes.
And again, they were not ill-willed. It was just like, that's something that everyone experiences.
Yes.
And I try not to do it to brides when I meet them. Like, I try not to be like, oh, did you get this yet? Did you do that yet?
Yeah. If they want to talk about it, like mention it. And if they give more, then.
Yeah. I ask them what they want.
Yes.
Versus telling them you should do this. I never tell anyone what they should do.
Absolutely. And so I know we've been talking about family expectations for a while, but before we step out of it and go to the next topic, I just want to talk about really quickly, like drawing the boundary, especially when, sometimes if not, but especially when other people's money are involved. So let's say, you know, your parents are contributing to your wedding in some way, shape, or form, and they want something that you like really don't want. Just as an example, what is a good way to draw that boundary and say like, hey, this is our wedding and we don't want that?
I would acknowledge, hey, thank you for sharing, like giving this money. We really appreciate it. Or if you just want your one partner to say it or whoever's parent it is, because they have the better relationship, mom, dad, thank you so much. But this is something I really don't want to do. I mean, even just personalize it. If you don't want to bring your partner in, so just say, I don't want this. Yeah. So it's either like, do you still want to give us the money? But this isn't something we're doing.
Totally.
And if not, then we don't have to do it. Like, we're fine either way. It's not. Yeah. Like, I don't want to say like desperate, but people feed off of like when they know you need it. Totally.
And that's another thing too. Like if you are really gung-ho and hell-bent on not doing something, you also have to be okay with giving up that contribution. Yes. Which, you know, might be unfortunate to hear, but we're adults. Like, you're getting married. This is the real world. Like, your parents are not going to hand you everything you want while you stomp your feet and like say, you know,
or come up with a compromise. Sure. Like, I know my dad really wanted to dance with, you know, the Meghan Trainor Dance Like Your Daddy song.
No.
Oh my God. Literally, my dad sent it to me and he's like, this is our wedding song. And I'm like, what? Like, we have so many other options. Like this
is the one. Wait, I need to listen to it. That's so funny.
Oh, anyways, it's not a slow, cute wedding song. It's not the song I envision dancing.
It's like Johnny.
Yes, it's literally what it is. It's like an upbeat song. So we compromised. I really wanted something else. And my dad he's like more Irish genetically than I am. Sure. My mom was all German, whatever. So we found like a cute Irish song that we both love and then then nixed it. And I was like, all right, here's your Dance Like Your Daddy thing. And made him
Stop. Oh my God, that's cute. It's a compromise.
So you can compromise things. It's just like, All right. When we think of stress and anxiety and we think of setting a boundary, we tend to put more emotion into it than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Look at it from a wide view angle. Is this really that big of a deal? What are your worst fears? What do you think is going to happen? Throw it out there. Mom, I don't want you to be sad. Like, label it, name it, call it out. Say what you think is going to happen to the person. Mom, I really don't want you to be upset with me, but
Yes.
da 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 da. Or hey, this is just something like I really appreciate it. Just say it. Just have the ownership.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. And it's such a rabbit hole, and we could go like so deep into it. But if you're being like so reasonable and people are still giving you issues, like, it's not just about the wedding. We really need to explore something. This is why most people should be in therapy.
Yes. It is so hard.
Oh, it's so hard. Okay, so let's go now to the next topic, because again, we could talk about all these things forever. And even though this is technically our second time, I would love to have you back to like.
We're doing a good job at making it concise.
We are doing a good job. I know. I'm really proud of us. I mean, I could talk to you about everything like forever. So I feel like I want to talk about things more, but I'm like, I have to pivot it to certain things. But I would love for you to like come back on and like dissect more things, because there's so many different things that we could touch on when it comes to this topic. But let's go to the topic of body image. So this is a tough one for brides. Just putting the pressure, it's mostly the pressure on themselves to look a certain way on their wedding day. And some of the things I often hear are, well, I'm going to be wearing all white. There's going to be all eyes on me. I should look the most beautiful I've ever looked. A lot of people fixate on their weight or, how they want their like toning to look.
Yes.
And sometimes it can get a little out of hand. So like, let's talk about that. Like, what the hell? Why are we like this?
I don't know. What was it? Didn't they say in like one movie, like men made heels for women to run away fast so they can't run away?
Yes, 100%.
Typical beauty standards of what we think is beautiful. Everyone thinks beautiful is more thin and more youthful. And But I think it's because like for me, right? So I personally feel more confident within my body and how I look and feel right now than I probably did on my wedding day.
Yeah.
I felt great on it, but I was like, well, if I'm paying all this money, I want to look good.
Absolutely. I have this expensive ass photographer. Like, what am I going to be looking like, a slab kebab? You want to, but I agree, Mandy. Like, I mean, there were a couple things that I had like not the best spray tan for my wedding, which is an issue. Yes, that's a whole another story. That's pretty funny.
I was so tan on my wedding.
Right, but you looked great. Yours was not orange.
I did fake bake. I don't recommend because of skin cancer. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then I had a spray tan on. Jenna. Our TLS spray tans, the best for weddings.
They are great. And I did not do TLS. And the person who did me, like, it really, they've done me before and it's been great. It just was like, it was the day before my wedding. A whole thing. But anyway, I was happy with the way I looked. I felt pretty. I look back on my wedding pictures and I think I look beautiful. That might be like weird to say, but I really do. But like, definitely wasn't the best I've ever looked. Like, I've looked better before and after. And I think it's so crazy that I spent basically my entire time being engaged, like so hyper-focused, 2 workouts a day, like so stringent with diet, like being psychotic.
You know what I was anxious about? I was more anxious about like months before and people seeing me and like, oh, is she working out for her wedding? Does she care?
Is so
that weird?
No, it's not weird, but I think we all kind of it all comes back to like, well, what are people going to think? Because I've been 20 pounds heavier and like 20 pounds later.
COVID did me dirty.
Girl, oh my God, COVID's so rude. But like my husband doesn't care.
No.
I recently just lost like 10 pounds and he didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Like he had no idea. So it wasn't for him. I'm a little bit it was for me because I feel better when I look a certain way, of course.
Look good, feel good.
Look good, feel good, of
There's
course.
something to be said about that.
But I think sometimes we can take it too far. And I think at a certain point I did, but realized it during the process and was like, okay. And I told you this last time. I feel like we're having all these like similar things pop up. But one of my girlfriends was like, AJ, you don't look good.
Yeah.
And I think what she meant was like, I don't look like myself. And like, she could tell that I was really pushing it beyond. And that kind of woke me up and was like, okay, what am I doing? Like, just have to be healthy and happy, and that will make me look better.
Yeah, because you're happy.
Yes.
And then I feel like it's so hard because, like you said, like I do like look good, feel good. Like I am very, I mean, it's been a journey of eating, and we've talked about that, like feeling good with what you eat. But when you are restricting yourself of food and you're already stressed and like you're doing intermittent fasting, you're not eating carbs and you're only this and that, you are adding more stress to your body.
Yes.
You don't even realize it. And I tell people all the time, not eating is like going out into Alaska with no clothes on, no shoes on, and no jacket. And that's what you're doing to your body.
Yeah.
And you're forcing yourself to work harder. And then what happens is sometimes feel like people don't lose the weight because when you have so much stress, your body goes into survival mode and then holds on to the fat. It holds on to everything. So it's like, wait, we need to survive. Like, why? I don't want to let go of this, right?
Totally.
So then people get really discouraged. They get very like, then they get the fuckets and then they'll binge eat and then they feel like they have to go back to being perfect. It's like, it just hops from one thing to the other.
Yes.
So I think having, again, because I was aware of this, I really went into it just being balanced. I was always balanced. So I did not lose an extreme amount of weight. I did like tone up a little bit. I did this, but I knew myself. Like I worked at a very stressful job at the time. I was already stressed. I was just like, this is as good as it's going to get. I'm eating healthy. I'm making sure I'm like exercising X amount of times a day. And that's what it was.
Absolutely.
And then if I felt like there was some weeks I was like, all right, I want to, but I wouldn't do it for an extended period amount of time. I would do it for maybe like 3 weeks. I'm going to not eat cookies because you don't realize how over time cookies do add up or something sugar. Like
the thing is, like some of the habits that you instill, like I always say, I credit getting ready for my wedding. I introduced me to Pilates. I mean, I love Pilates now. It's like one of my favorite workouts, and I started it when I was getting ready for my wedding. So there are good things, and like I'm a cookie lover as well. Like I would eat every cookie if it were up to me. It's not the best thing. So like sometimes being restrictive is good, but when it's hindering your life and it's causing obstacles in like other ways, making you either unhealthy or unhappy, or like you have to revisit it and say like, why am I doing this? Is this purely aesthetic? Is it for my health? Like what's going on here?
Yeah. Like my girlfriend is doing 75 hard. And I was like,
so I'm so stupid. And I've heard this phrase a bunch, but what is 75 hard?
I don't know all the details. I could be butchering it, but it's like you work out twice a day for 45 minutes and then you're supposed to drink X amount of water. You're supposed to diet and you're supposed to like read 10 pages. I don't know, but the workouts could be like walking for 45 minutes, but that is so, again, restrictive. So if you're already an anxious person, like, and again, it just depends how quickly you want to see results, I guess. But then after that, like, are you learning? Because if you're just restricting yourself, you're going to gain weight back no matter what, when you go back to a regular diet.
Absolutely.
It's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. Well, that's why you hear so many people say like,
after their wedding.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the wedding week, I will say, like most people will experience this. Yeah. You just don't eat because it's not even a choice at that point. Like you're so busy. I always tell people keep protein bars on you. Like you will not have an opportunity to eat. You're just going to be busy. And on my honeymoon, I noticed like my bloating right away because I just spent a week essentially not eating. So the minute I ate something, I was like, oh, hello, Pooch. Like, welcome back. Yeah. So it's, those types of things. Like I don't knock anyone for that. It's not really their choice, but
I mean, and when I got engaged or married, I know I started getting Botox.
Which hair. I love Botox, and I don't care what I do try to live like a healthy lifestyle, but I'm very overdue, if I can say it.
Well, for me, so I never realized it, but I had a gummy smile, and I also had my lip started curling under. And it was always something I was self-conscious about.
That's interesting because you have great lips.
See, there's nothing. I don't have like any filler in them.
Yeah,
but, like,
they're just beautiful.
Goes right here, and it gets my gummy. So my lip, I could show you a picture after this. My lip literally was like up to here.
That is so interesting.
Something for me I was always self-conscious about. So I did that.
Yeah.
And, like, those were my things. Like I just wanted to have a pretty smile.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I went hard with my skincare, but in those things you do learn about yourself. Like I am 30. I should be taking care of my skin. You know, like there's things that you should implement. And I think sometimes when we're focusing on our body image and the way we look, like it can be, it's twofold.
Well, and I think too, and this is probably going to be like a hard thing. Like if you are so worried about people thinking like if you're obese or not skinny enough, like, are you doing that to other people? Because typically if you think about yourself like that way, you can be maybe judging other people like subconsciously. So it's like,
definitely.
So it's like, what's so wrong? Like size does not identify, doesn't mean anything. Like, everyone there's zero label of it. So it's like, who you are on your wedding day is good enough.
Absolutely.
But if you want to put effort into it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Just have the grace and the gratitude and the mindfulness of like, I'm doing this just so I feel good.
Absolutely.
And if I lose a few pounds, awesome.
If you want to and you do, like that is so great. But it gets to a certain point of like, I used to have a lot of negative thoughts about myself. And someone said it to me. I can't take credit for it, but just in terms of a wedding, like if you are feeling like you're not good enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not whatever enough, you're telling yourself those things. You're looking in the mirror and saying that to yourself. Think about if someone was saying that to your maid of honor, your best friend. Like, would you freak out?
We are the meanest people to ourselves.
So mean. Like, treat yourself like a friend.
Self-talk. I tell people you have to be kind to yourself.
Mandy, oh my God. It's so true. And I did start thinking about it that way, but that's one thing where I guess I do self-talk now. And like, I won't be mean about my body. Like if I have a week where I'm like, not feeling my best, like, of course you have your times up and down, but that is one thing where I'm like, I can't say like you fat top, like you are, like that's so rude. It's I myself that way. That's not nice.
Balance. Like everything is a balance.
Yes.
And I know that was like one of the last things I was going to talk about, but literally everything is a balance. Like,
yes.
I don't want people to think like you have, like if you want to be an extreme exercise person, but as long as like, but also are you super extreme, but is that like impacting other areas of your life?
Totally.
Like, right? Like running. Yeah, I'm not a runner, so runners don't come at me. But like, if you're running 50 miles a day, I'm going to say that I don't think that's healthy either, right?
Absolutely.
So everything is in extremes. Eating too many carrots is not good for you. Eating too much edamame isn't good for you. Like it shouldn't be all or nothing.
Right. And let's segue into balance. We'll go into that next because we can hop right in there. So balance in terms of, your health and wellness, but also balancing and juggling your life. So like you can relate to this. You're a hardworking woman. You have a ton of friends. You're planning this wedding. You have like other things going on, like, building your business and whatever. So that is such a big stressor for brides. Like, how do I even juggle my life right now? And some people love it. Some people love wedding planning. Like when they're done, they're like, what am I going to do with myself now? But for a lot of people, it's like they can't wait to get out of it because it feels like they're in a cave. And all of their free time just goes to wedding planning because they're spending so much money. So they don't really want to do things with their friends or, they are so exhausted and they know they have so much to do for the wedding. So it's just like a hindrance on their life. So what do you think are some good tools or tactics about maintaining a level of balance and not driving yourself frigging nuts when you're planning a wedding?
Go see a therapist just to talk about it.
Yes.
I guess like for balance in terms of like, right, you have all of these things to do, organize it, right? So our brains, when we start to think of things, we can, so if you're at work, and this could be with anything, but so let's just use wedding. So like if you're at work and you're thinking about all of the things that you need to do for your wedding, and now all of a sudden you are so stressed, you basically just triggered your body to think that there's a tiger in the room, and there's not a tiger in the room, and you can't run, right?
Yeah.
So you are just like burning yourself out more and more and more and more. Become aware of your triggers, learn how to compartmentalize, and I would say start making lists. You can have goals. I have worked through perfectionism. I'm not perfect in like all areas of life, but certain things, like with my calendar, I'm still like a handwritten person.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I only needed to use pencils or erasable pens, because if I didn't get it done that day, I would be so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, but also it's okay. This is my goal for maybe this month. Like these are all the things I want to get done, but then break them down even more. So that way, when that thought, 'cause we can't control what comes up when we're working, when we're at work, if that thought comes up, all right, I am stressed, validate the feeling. I am nervous about this, but I know I have a plan for it. And right now there's like, I can't think about it. So I have a plan, and then that helps ease that anxiety in the moment.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying, even when we were talking about budget, this element of control in our life. And like when your life, it feels like your life is controlling you and you're not controlling your life, it's paralyzing you. And then it turns into like fat bastard, a vicious cycle, you know, where you're just like, fuck, what? How am I going to ever do any of these things? So,
and anxiety does that. It stops us from literally being able to think.
Yes.
So there are things that you can do. And I think organizing, the understanding, like we cannot control every single day, but we can try to control some things and how we perceive our triggers.
Yeah. Well, Jake says to me a lot, because by nature, I'm not organized, and that's an unfortunate aspect of my life. But you know, Jake is very type A, and sometimes when I'm reeling, I'm like, I have this to do, and Jake's like, well, you're gonna be able to do them all a lot better and more efficiently if you take the time to compartmentalize things. And I work really well by time batching. Like that is the way of my life. Every morning I have to do that, and I have to take the time for me to figure out what I'm going to do throughout the day and see it on paper for me to have any kind of calm, because otherwise, like, I feel so bad.
It's like a spider web. It's like one thing's here, one thing's there, one thing's there. And what I tell people too, whether you've had a significant trauma or not, what things we have feel like a filing cabinet in our brain, and then the files are all over the place.
My files are scattered.
Yeah, so then we still like we can't. It's just so overwhelming, and it creates a lot of feelings. So it's like, all right, take a second. It's going to be anxiety ridden, but it's okay. Call your best friend, call whoever, go see someone, like talk to someone. Like, all right, I need to just start writing.
Yeah,
we need to get our thoughts onto paper. We need to make it more real. And when you write something, you're three times more likely to remember it.
Wow.
So that's why they say like journaling is really good.
Yeah.
But when you write something, you're validating yourself. You are giving yourself even more reassurance. You are looking at it. You are the one physically writing it. You are doing it.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and that is that. Oh my God. That is like, it's so important. Even if you're not a person who like writes every day, but just to be able to say, it's on paper here. It feels almost like you're
making it real.
Yes.
Nothing in our brain is real.
It's all perception.
It is.
Oh my God. Trips me out.
I know. It's
so,
we're just living on a toenail. Just kidding.
No, literally, we are nothing. We're just like little.
But like by putting it on paper, it makes it real. I'm not saying you have to journal every single day, do your diary, but like, book. I have a notebook. I have notebooks everywhere. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'll just like, I'm a bullet person, or I'll like this, or I'll that. And
I think people also think too, well, I don't have time to do that. but they don't realize that by taking the time to do that, they're freeing up so much of their time, because we do spend so much time and energy. Or I can speak to, yeah, exactly. Like I can speak to the unorganized people, or the people who like feel really stressed and, you know, overwhelmed sometimes, but I will waste so much more time trying to figure out what I need to do. And when I just put it on paper, it's like it opens up so much of my life.
Exactly. And because and then it gives reassurance. It gives you a trajectory. It gives you like, all right, no, I know I'm going to do this then, versus like flying by the seat of your pants every single day.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, especially when you're planning a wedding, it can feel like you're monkey barring.
I'll figure it out tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem. But actually it's like your present self needs to help your future self.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. That is so true.
Yes. I'm not perfect at this by any means, but I really do try to practice what I preach, because I believe it. And I do believe in it. And it does work. And I've worked with so many people, and everything that I'm saying on here is what I tell my clients. And they're starting to they notice changes. Yeah. They're like, you've helped me so much with this. This is da-da-da. This one girl, she's like, I've never knew what it felt like to be happy. I'm like, I know.
Oh my God, that breaks my heart.
But it's because we don't realize how bad anxiety impacts so many areas of your life.
Yes. It's like this little demon on your shoulder.
It really is. Planning a wedding just adds so much more pressure, because it is the nature of the game.
It is. But
so you're not crazy if you're feeling it's normal.
You're 100% right. Like having your daily planner and then having like your wedding planner where you can physically check things off. Like it really will
filter the stressors. We can't get rid of the stress, but you can learn how to manage the stressors.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. It's so true. You are not going to get rid of the stress. No. But
stress is a part of life.
Absolutely. And it's in a lot of ways healthy, you know, to have it. But what's healthier is like managing it like a pro and having the skills and tools to.
Well, stress and we're meant to have anxiety like biologically, because it was like back then it was like, oh, I need to have these feelings to know if I'm supposed to run away from this bear or not.
Totally.
Like natural selection. Am I supposed to pet this bear? Or am I supposed to, the season's changing. Do I stay here and freeze to death? Or do I get nervous and think I should move somewhere? Like that's why we have it. But like our world and society has moved so much faster than our biological mind and body has.
Yes.
So now we are literally everyday stress is basically like bears every single day, and that's why we get so bad at it.
Isn't that terrible? Like we're planning the biggest, most important day of our life potentially, and
we feel like a huge bear chasing us. That's literally what panic attacks are. Like we're having panic attacks over the thought of the cake.
Yes.
Like, or what are people going to think of this? Like it's so hard.
It's so hard. But this is so helpful. Okay. And then the last topic I want to get into today is going to be attention, and not, attention to detail, but more so attention on yourself. Yes. And we touched a little bit on it as far as body image is concerned, but something so common that I actually can't relate to, so I can't speak to it, but so many people feel this like paralyzing fear of people looking at them on their wedding day. And it's not, for some people, it's not so bad that they don't want to have a wedding. They still want to have it, but like the thought of walking down an aisle or doing a first dance is so stressful to them. So where does that come from? Like this is a celebration, like a happy, joyous thing. You're not like, Jesus with the crucifix going up,
Yeah. Parts of me like that makes me think of self-esteem.
Yeah.
Like, again, are you so worried about what other people think about you versus you thinking about your partner on your wedding day, whether it's your husband, wife, whoever? Like, you should just be focused on you guys.
Yeah.
It is your day and not anyone else. And you know what? If they do say anything, you're never going to hear about it. No one's ever going to come up to you and say, "Hey, your wedding sucked," or "Hey,
there are
you looked."
some
do people do it?
You'd be
Don't
surprised.
invite those people.
Don't invite those people.
Those people.
No, but yeah, putting a lot of weight into what other people are thinking, which is the craziest thing to me, because you will never be able to control other people's thoughts, like ever.
And also, if someone's going to say that at your wedding, then why have them there?
Psychos.
Like, I've had people be like, oh, you didn't invite that person? No, because I didn't. I don't like how they are when they're drunk. I don't need anyone starting a fight. I need people who I feel are important to me.
Yes. I want people who, when I'm walking down the aisle, I don't even have to think about what their thoughts are. Like, I know that they're there for me and they're happy and they're supporting me. Like, I think that probably is an aspect of it too. Having maybe people in your life that you don't feel are
maybe close with.
Yeah.
That are judging you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's layered, but if someone is dealing with that and, you know, maybe it's not an option to exclude cousin Stu.
Kill kindness. Like, confidence and self-esteem go such a long way.
Do you think like fake it till you make it works? Like look in the mirror? Yes.
No, I literally, so there was, I remember when I was in grad school, there was a professor who told us about this research study. And in summary, it was like they had a control study and a not control study. And it was like, to these group of people, I think it was men, it was like in the mirror every single day, just say, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident. And then the other group of people, they had to broaden their shoulders, they had to deepen their voice, they had to puff their chest up, and they were going to say, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident. And then they, after the study, they measured, I guess, like happiness and confidence and self-esteem, however they measured it, because they're researchers. And the people who had more confidence were the people who put their shoulders back. It's like, again, we visually are feeding our brains everything we do. So the more fake it till you make it until you can retrain your brain and you start to believe in it.
Yes.
We do have neuroplasticity. You can train your brain. It just sucks. And so
you have to put the work in, unfortunately, but it's worth it.
Yeah. And so sometimes I tell people there's this thing called cognitive dissonance when you're doing fake it till you make it. And so say you're like, for me, example, I can fold all the laundry, but it's not going away, right? And it's something that I hate. Or sometimes I don't always take the dishes right out of the dishwasher, right?
Sure.
So those are little things that I've always hated. And I'm like, no, I want to get better at it. These are things I want to get better. So I will literally just be like, I'm going to fucking do this, right? So cognitive dissonance is having the thought, you say cognitive behavioral dissonance, doing the behavior, doing the thing I don't like.
Yes.
And now I'm distancing the energy I'm putting into it.
Okay.
I'm making it more light. So, all right, I don't want to do this. I'm so nervous, but I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Here we go. Right. So it's like kind of like, I'm a singer. I'm very like goofy. I don't sing. I don't sing.
I was going to say, I felt something for us, Mandy.
No.
I sing through my day too. I can
like Sound of Music and like Mary Poppins. So I'm like,
Queen Julie.
Yes. But so I will always sing. And when I don't want to do something or don't like something, or if I'm feeling bad about myself, whether it's body image, I'm just like, this is as good as it's going to get. Here we go. People who love you, love you. And you just got to keep telling yourself that right foot, left foot every single day.
Yeah.
You got to want it more than you don't.
Totally. Totally. And it's, you know, I'll end those topics like kind of on the note where this is a really good time to start putting in the work because you're going into a next phase of your life.
And you deserve so much happiness on your wedding day. It's like, it's so beautiful. Don't let other people make it stressful and not beautiful for you.
Yeah.
Because that's not what it's about. And you don't want to look back and be like,
I hate to hear people say like, I wish I had done this or I wish I had done that. And there's certain things with like, you know, I wish I hired a better photographer. Well, those things, like, not as much, as long as you have the good memories of the day. But like, I wish I didn't care so much about what this person thought and that weighed heavy on me. Like, that breaks my heart. People shouldn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
And
it's so common and it happens. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head earlier. We cannot control what other people do or say, but that doesn't mean you have to be at their beck and call. That doesn't mean you have to listen to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much more power than you realize it, but I don't think people know how to process it. So they're scared that they're going to come out bitchy.
Yes.
So like I said, you want to be emotionally active versus reactive, or affirming or assertive versus reactive. So many people I know are scared to say something because they're scared that their emotions are going to get the best of them. They're just going to
Yeah. And sometimes you do have to like take a step back and say like, okay, let me just revisit this.
I statements. I feel.
I feel, yes. Oh my God. Okay. I learned so much just through these alone. And I already have you for over an hour. So I have two more little things that I want to go to. So every guest that I have on, we do a premarital counseling session. You are the perfect person to do it with because you actually have like the skills.
I do a lot of marriage therapy. I do a lot of couple sessions.
So yeah, so you're going to want to listen to Mandy's advice. This one, let's go into our question or query from Jenny. So we changed all the names. It's always anonymity. I can't speak today. So if you do want to write in, if you have any questions, concerns, whatever, you can always reach out to us and we'll have our lovely guests give their input as well as me. So let's read this one from Jenny. Hello, I've been planning my July 2024 wedding for almost 2 years, and my fiance and I just found out that we are expecting. We are so excited to have a baby together, but now that we have processed the news, I'm realizing that my wedding won't be what I thought it was going to be at 7 months pregnant, which I'll feel bad for even admitting, but is the truth. Our families think that we should do the wedding as planned before the baby comes, but I feel like I won't feel or look the way I'd always pictured I'd look on my wedding day when I'm about to pop a bun out of my oven. I remember reading that and laughing. Not to mention, I might not even feel well enough to enjoy the day. What would you recommend? This is layered.
This is very layered. One, I think the biggest aspect, although you want to feel good on your day, money, contracts. That's the first thing that comes up for me.
1,000%. That, yeah. Yes. And obviously, other than a huge congratulations, that's like the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes.
Like keep going.
Well, I mean, just making, like, if you are even thinking of it remotely, look at your contracts, reach out to people. You may need to make a decision sooner. I don't know when Jenny wrote this, but like you may need to make a decision sooner rather than later.
That is the number one aspect. Like, okay, you need to figure out whether you're going to be losing your money, because if you go through your contracts, I can almost guarantee you, if it's been written up by someone who's worth their salt, they've had an attorney look over it and they are protected, and all deposits will be non-refundable should you cancel.
And you probably won't even get a date with them. Will they even still want to work with you? There's credibility.
And will they even have the availability to work with you? So your wedding might look a lot different regardless if you change your date. So that's one aspect.
Unless you want to change it for like 2 years. Like, all right, do you want your baby to then be 2 years old? But then it's like,
but then the pricing might change as well. Yes. Like, you're going to have a kid, and any bride that I've had who has children, they just have a different outlook on the wedding because the most important thing has already happened to them. They have a kid. So like the wedding is always going to be secondary. So it's not to say like you still don't have your bridal feelings and it's still not amazing and fabulous, but like you have a child.
Yeah, maybe you can change. And if it's like, I don't know if I'm going to look the same way about popping a bun, maybe there is something you can change about dresses.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who've changed their dress like literally the week before their wedding.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You can change your dress. You can go shopping. Like, you don't have to wear high heels. Get cute sneakers for you and your partner. Like make it work for you so you don't feel like that. Or maybe you want to show it. Maybe that's part of the day. Like, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think doing it with you and your fiance, it's what we were talking about with the family boundaries. Like, you guys should be making this decision as much as your family input. You should take it, sit with it, let them know that you've heard them, and make your decision whether or not you agree with them. But I know, we all like to party and drink and enjoy ourselves, but you could still enjoy yourself while you're pregnant. Like, plenty of people still have a good time, It's not just this like, how far she'll be 7 months in July.
It's more of an excuse for you guys to do something on your 1 year. Like, maybe go do something, go away.
Totally. And I do kind of think there's this special aspect of like, your kid is like involved in your wedding in some way. Like they're there. They're not there yet, which is kind of nice because you don't have to watch them, but like they're part of the whole thing. So I would say
it's a grieving process.
Yes.
It's a grieving process. So I do validate that.
Yes.
Like I said, probably in the beginning, we think about our wedding days, or I know I always probably thought about my wedding day and envisioned this, envisioned that. So when you find out that you are pregnant, not that saying you're not happy, but you are losing something.
Like you were expecting something totally different.
Yes. Maybe it to look a different way, a different dress. Like
yes.
It's not what you planned. So I think processing that and allowing yourself to, you're probably not angry about having a baby, but I'm sure there is a little bit of anger there. Like
a little resentment. Yeah.
Process that. Like and validate that, because the more, if you don't and you just are like toxic positivity, like, no, everything's fine, like I'm so happy, you're going to feel maybe worse on the day.
Yes.
Again, you can't, I don't know how anyone else feels or predict it, but I could see that happening.
Yeah.
And people just dismiss.
Yes.
Because they don't want to sound, so many people don't like talking about ugly feelings because they think that if they express it, or then they're going to stay angry, or they're going to this. But I tell people all the time, like, hey, we know that things go away, like anger goes away, sadness goes away, and it's okay to talk about it, because we know it goes away, because guess what? I don't wake up every single day happy. Yeah, I know my happiness goes away.
Absolutely.
Like, so
I'm saying it like you're kind of releasing it, like not letting it stew. And
you are releasing it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So I would say, and obviously do what's going to work best for you. But if you were, my sister or my friend, and you were saying like, I need to make the decision, what should I do? I would say have the wedding in July. Like that would just be my answer. But obviously there are going to be other factors. I'm very curious to hear what you did. So if you could let us know, and we want to see wedding pictures, we want to see baby pictures, we want the whole nine. And it's a really exciting time regardless. I hope that you're enjoying the process and not letting this other layer of stress bring you down.
There's so many things that you can do to pamper yourself and make sure you feel good. And
everyone's going to be more gentle with you because you're pregnant. Like you can tell everyone to fuck off with their ideas.
Just hormonal. This is your advantage.
We wish you the best, Jenny. Thank you so much for writing in. And Mandy, before I end the episode, I have to do my after party with you. So every episode we do an after party where we just ask a little series of wedding questions. So are you ready?
No.
Okay, they're fun, I promise. Okay, so first question, what is your top recommended honeymoon destination?
So we just went to Florida, but I would have loved to go to like Ibiza.
Yes.
My friend went there. It looked amazing. So that's on my bucket list.
Oh, love.
But don't be like me and plan your honeymoon last minute because you think it's going to shit gets expensive. And then you go to Florida.
Love Florida. Yeah. Love it.
But did not plan in advance.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. What is your dream wedding cake flavor?
I'm a cannoli person. I love cannoli.
Oh my God.
Give me all the cannoli cake. Did your husband put cake in your face?
No. Did Jordan put cake in your face?
Like, do it. And I was like, and his cousin, who I'm really close with, her name's Erin, she looked at, she's like, oh, it's my wedding day.
It is so cute. I actually love a gentle thing, but I think
I'll have to show you a picture. It's like,
oh, it's probably really cute though. No, when people do it and they're like laughing together, I love those pictures, but Jake didn't even attempt. Because I don't like to be touched. And if he comes near, I need to know what's going to happen. Yeah. It's a very, I don't know what's wrong with me. Especially this is so off topic, but in water.
You can't touch me.
Totally. And I'm a toucher. I'll be like, oh yeah. And I'll hit people when I laugh and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm ever doing that to anyone and they don't like it, just tell me because I know I don't. But yeah, I think he was afraid to even come near me. It's a very gentle. We did feed each other on a fork.
Yeah.
Okay. Third question. What song do you need to hear at a wedding that's going to get you on the dance floor?
I feel like I said this last time because I wasn't prepared, but I'm going to say the same one.
Yeah.
Run Around Sue. I love all the oldies.
Yes.
Love the oldies.
Motown forever. And yes.
Or even Justin Timberlake, his I Got This Feeling inside my,
that's a great one. That is a great song. And it makes everyone happy. There are some cliche wedding songs. People are like, oh, this one. But they do get people on the dance floor. Runaround Sue is like such a friggin' bop, and you're just gonna like,
yep, all your older aunts are gonna be out there.
yes, and they're the ones who get the party started
definitely.
for sure. Okay, Mandy, and last question I have for you today is, what is one piece of wisdom or advice that you can impart to any couple planning a wedding?
Yes, if you are in the wedding planning process, the second that you guys said yes to engagement, you are a team. That it is, you guys are each other's partners. Don't allow your families to infiltrate. Like, you guys sit down, you guys do the work together, communicate, know everything about each other. So that way there's no ifs, ands, and buts. Get a bottle of wine, have the deep conversations, even if you ruffle some feathers. Like, conflict resolution is really good. You want to fight, and then the fact that you're able to get through it shows so much about how you guys communicate, right?
Yes, strengthens things.
Be honest. Don't, every time you excuse something, you're just adding a block and a block and a block and a block. And then sometimes people are like, oh, we're not in love anymore because you put this wall that you didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
So be honest. If something bothers you, you are responsible for communicating it with your partner. Do not just assume. We're not mind readers.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
that is my biggest piece of advice for all of the reasons why I see people in couples therapy.
Oh my God. Well, you would know best. So we're going to be taking your advice if we're taking anyone's.
Communication is key. I'm going to add that too.
Communication is key. Remember,
Yes.
people. Oh my gosh. Mandy, you are so fabulous.
Yes.
Tell everyone where they can find you. I'm going to link it all.
Definitely. So my Instagram right now is Mandy Graham Coaching. You can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn. My Facebook's Mandy Graham. I am going to be starting some new ventures of working, but I don't want to say it yet.
So follow
But
along if you
yes.
are curious, because I know you are.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's going to be great.
I'm excited for you.
Yes.
I'm so appreciative of you doing this
Yes.
again.
Yes.
You were an angel. So thank you.
I'm
so
excited
much.
for people's questions. Hopefully they have more.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes, absolutely. If you have questions for Mandy, I'm going to leave everywhere you can find her, or you can reach out to me, because it'll just be another reason that I can get her back and we can do another episode.
Yes.
Well, thank you, my love.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode today. Please like, review, rate, subscribe, follow, whatever the things are. It's really, really helpful. If you do support us, there's something in it for you too. You'll have the opportunity to win a free Pre Nup bridal prep planner. We give one away every month. I have the directions on how to do that below, so make sure you check that out. Thank you again for listening. Happy planning. See you next Wednesday.